Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's me. Just wanted to talk a little bit about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Figured I would. It's been a little under 2 weeks since I've beaten the game, so there was a certain point I wanted to kind of compile all my thoughts and put it out there, you know. So I figured this was a good way of doing it. This is by no means me saying that I am done with this game. I'm not remotely done. I do apologize that I haven't been on as much, but yeah, I'm nowhere near done with this game yet. I still have to clear up a couple things in normal mode and start hard mode yet, so we've got a while. But I just wanted to go over my thoughts about the game, the ending, you know, and maybe what potentially might happen in the third game. I mean, there's going to be a lot of theory crafting on this, and it's still very early. I reserve the right to change my opinions on things the more information that we get. I mean, I, on my spare time, go onto YouTube and stuff, and I, watch people give their own opinions, and they can also sway me one way or the other, too. I mean, I'm only human. There's just some things that I didn't really think about, and they can point out, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But right now, like I said, this is a very early, opinion about the game and where I think that they're going to take it in the future. So the first thing I want to get out of the way is how I felt about how they portrayed Aerith's death in Rebirth here. And I think I said it on my stream earlier that honestly it doesn't really match up. It's not as impactful as the original OG Final Fantasy VII, and I'm guessing that was almost kind of intentional in a way, because I think a lot of people were just waiting, hoping to see how they're going to do it, how they're going to make it as powerful, as impactful as it did in OG or whatever. Can they do that? And honestly, and I think the developers probably saw it as well, I don't think you could, because the OG, I mean, when Aerith died, it was so sudden, it was so unexpected, it was so shocking when it happened. I don't think you can really match those emotions from OG simply because we all kind of knew it was coming. So, I mean, even if they did a one-to-one recreation of what happened during that moment, I don't think they'd get the same impact that they would have. It just wouldn't have happened. So I can kind of see as to why they might have taken it a different way. I mean, sure, I'll admit, they could have tried other things. I mean, they could have tried to keep her alive. But I think that, even though that could possibly be shocking, it would probably also piss off the purists of the fans of Final Fantasy VII as well. So it's like, that's kind of out, right? And I don't think it's would be that totally shocking if people were at times predicting it, But yeah, I think that would be, that would be a poor idea as well. So I think the way they did it, they kind of had their cake and ate it too. It's like, okay, well, she lives and she also dies. And I feel like maybe that made everybody kind of disappointed in some sense. But I think in reality, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it, I think they're trying to play the long game here. That's what I'm thinking. I think that it's not impactful now. And that kind of brings me into my idea, and I've kind of had this for a while, even before I played the game. I kind of feel like, what if they did keep Aerith alive? And make everyone, not really everyone, but make people happy that they could still interact and be around and, enjoy her company and stuff like that, because obviously she's an extremely beloved character and all that stuff. So, why don't they do that? But then realize the consequences of what happened, if that happened. The idea that, okay, she's alive, everyone's happy, but, without her being in the live stream, controlling the live stream somewhat, Meteor goes off without a hitch. Or something of that nature. Where her being alive would actually, in the long run, be detrimental to their, survival, even. I mean, it's kind of morbid, but, it's also, like I said, a way to kind of put it to bed as to why they did that, So I think that might be a way to go about doing it. Or even if it isn't something like that, it's like, say that she's here to the very end. I mean, and, the world's saved and everything is great, happily ever after. That's where the multiverse thing comes along, and, now, and I have my own opinions about what the multiverse is and everything else, so I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But now the multiverses, they're not merging anymore, they're drifting away, dissolving even, and taking Aerith and even Zack with them. So, just leading people off to to even more disappointment. Again, it sounds awful when I say it, maybe, but everything I think can be possible if it's done right. I've always said that any option's on the table as long as they do it well. So, but at the end of the day, I kind of feel like if they're going to be able to shock or surprise us again, regardless of what they do, it's got to be the long game. It's got to be, you gotta make them feel comfortable that everything's going to be all right, and then all of a sudden pull the rug out from under them. Because that's like the only real way I feel like they could do it at that point. Whether people would appreciate it or not still, that's to be seen, but again, that's where I'm at. Yeah. And that's my opinion on that. I don't think it was going to be impactful. I don't think it ever was going to be as impactful. It just can't. Kind of felt that way at the beginning. I think the developers saw that. So in order to make something impactful, I think that they're trying, and it's not like they're doing the whole best of both worlds thing. Like, you can have one world where Aerith's dead and one world's alive. I do think that might be a possibility, and I actually think that's plausible, but I don't think that was the point. I think the point is she is, eventually going to disappear from our lives in some way, shape, or form. Sorry. I mean, the story, the theme, I think they've said it a zillion times, is about loss. And there's going to be a point where you're going to, have to deal with it. So, did Cloud actually save Aerith and not save Aerith? At the same time, I kind of do believe that. I think Cloud wanted it so bad enough that it happened. It's like a desire, a dream, if you will. And I wanted to get into that as well. One thing about the live stream, I think, we all kind of, I mean, they've said it themselves, it's like a conglomeration of memories. But it's not just memories, I think it's also conglomerations of dreams too. In reality, memories and dreams are kind of like two sides of the same coin, right? And I mean, memories are past tense, dreams are future tense. Memories are things that already happened, dreams are the things that you wish to happen. You know, like I said, past tense, future tense. And they're all connected because time and the live stream really doesn't matter. So, I think that if someone's dreams become powerful enough that they can overpower the chains of fate, particularly in this stage where fate really doesn't have a whole lot going for it right now. And as a result, I do think there was a point that Cloud actually did save Aerith. I do. But there was also a point where Sephiroth killed her. Because each decision made, each success or failure made creates its own world, right? Unfortunately, in this game, our prime universe is Cloud failing to save Aerith. But I would not be surprised that the one that was saved will pop up at some point. That is my opinion. So after that, see where they go from it. I mean, and memories, dreams, all that stuff. One thing that probably needs to be explained, I feel like, and this is again my theory. Take it with a grain of salt. What are the multiverses? What are these worlds that Sephiroth keeps on speaking of? Well, that also has to tie into fate, right? No fate, and this sort of thing happens, right? Well, when they had the Whispers, when the planet had faith and was able to execute that plan, they didn't need all these universes. They only needed the one. They knew they had a pre-prescribed method of saving itself. And unfortunately, when Sephiroth, with the help of the players, destroyed Fate, guess what? All that's out the window. And now the planet's scrambling, trying to find a way to save itself. And basically what it's doing is just one giant brainstorm, trying to figure out what circumstances can lead to a positive outcome. So they're trying everything. Zack lives, Aerith lives, Biggs lives, whatever, all these different choices and events, seeing how it plays out. And the ones that doesn't lead to that positive outcome, well, they eventually just disappear, right? Not by any choice of its own, it just does. And that's kind of where I think the multiverse thing is. It basically is just them doing simple trial and error, trying to find the most positive outcome, and those that are failing, those that won't lead to that ideal outcome, is just eliminated, essentially. What I think that the planet doesn't know yet, it's probably going to require multiple universes in order to stop this at this point. But that's just me. So as for Aerith, how do I feel about since we're in the world of the dead, right? The question is, how does Cloud see Aerith? And yeah, my opinion is very simple. She's doing the same things that Sephiroth's doing. I don't necessarily believe that Cloud is just simply hallucinating her. I actually do believe that she has she has a presence and he's able to see her. Furthermore, that can be, verified by the fact that Red 13 can sense her. She obviously can't see her, but he can sense her. Call it him being more attuned to the planet than humans are, whatever. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, yeah, they're here. So I don't think he is hallucinating at all. But I also believe that Aerith's doing everything like Sephiroth is for the most part. She still has a very strong presence, not something that can just willingly be dissolved into the live stream. Much like Sephiroth. And she can present herself however, whenever, to whomever she wants. Now you may be asking, how could that be the case? Because, Sephiroth usually, if he wants to show himself up to the world, has to have some sort of avatar, like a Sephiroth clone or whatever, to, show himself. And most of the time that's the case. And we notice that. However, that isn't the only time he's able to, show himself to the world. He was also able to show himself whenever the Whispers were around. He could become Sephiroth whenever the Whispers appeared. Likewise, as we all know, there are two sets of Whispers. There are black Whispers, which Sephiroth controls, and then the white Whispers, which Aerith can control, or at least use to her benefit. I don't know the lengths of what control even means, but still, trust me, that's a similar function. She can use the Whispers to present herself. Even if it's slight. And maybe the Whispers, you think? Well, if the Whispers are there, then at the very least, the other party members should be able to sense the Whispers or see the Whispers, but I sometimes believe that the Whispers really only exist when it chooses to. Appears only when it chooses to appear. So, like I said, I truly believe Aerith's doing the same thing, and you can go back to him by stream white or black. He said she could do a lot of the same things, even reconstitute her own body if she wanted to, but she never wanted to do that. But, yeah, that's my opinion on that. And, I think I'll go back for a second. I'll talk about, Sephiroth and why he even bothered to kill Aerith again. If this is the future Sephiroth and he knows what happens to OG, this seems a little dumb. Yes, granted, she might be able to summon Holy if you don't take her out. I get that, but Holy wasn't the biggest reason why Meteor failed. It was a live stream, and she was in it. She controlled it. Say what you want, that just seems kind of dumb. Unless there was one way, and only one way, only one reason, and that's to break Cloud. And he might have successfully done that in some sense. Because, yeah, I mean, I think that last scene, he holds up that materia, and it's a black materia. And by the way, I think that was initially Aerith's clear materia. I think they are related. I think that, you know, dreams and honor and all that stuff, well, that has a lot to do with it. I mean, I know it's a theme, it's kind of tropey, it's kind of seems dumb, particularly if you say it over and over and over and over again. Sorry, Angeal. But I do think it does have an impact. You know? And I believe that the difference is, you know, love and care and you know, all that sort of things that, you know, Aerith possessed. That's what made that clear materia white. But, you know, despair, hopelessness, all that other stuff, that's what made it, you know, black. And right now, I think Cloud has a lot of doubts about himself, you know, about, you know, the future of the planet, the future, you know, of everything, right? He has a lot of doubts. And that's what is causing that clear materia to go black. I think the materia is essentially clear, and it just decides how it looks depends on the wielder, really. That's it. And it kind of just shows how messed up his psyche is right now, because, you know, while I do believe that Aerith is legitimately present, is actually communicating with Cloud and stuff like that, that doesn't change the fact that I think that he might just be a little delusional yet. Like I said, he might be there thinking that he's saved Aerith, and in one world he just might have, but it ain't this world. And in this world, I think he's doing his thing again. He's repressing his feelings, just like he did during the whole Nibelheim incident. And I think Aerith kind of wants him to believe it somewhat, because they don't want him to break. He is really on a thin line. I think that is what is being shown throughout the game. Tifa doesn't want him to crack. You know, and plus Tifa doesn't have all the answers. She doesn't know exactly why he knows everything about the Nibelheim incident in such great detail, like he was even there. So that's another thing. But, yeah. Same deal with Aerith. Because they know if he breaks, then he's vulnerable to Sephiroth's influence. So, can it be put back together? Can he be put back together? I mean, that's probably the last biggest, most important part of the OG Final Fantasy series. You know, it's usually, you know, Aerith's death is a big one. Obviously, Nibelheim is a big one. The story from that, and then obviously the point where Tifa has to, tell the, to put Cloud's memory back together and stuff like that. Yeah, I do actually think that it's going to happen, but there's so many things that have already happened in this game that makes it seem less and less likely. I mean, you've told him about the whole, situation when you were 8 and you were, climbing Mount Nebel and you fell and, he got blamed for it like it was his fault or whatever. Back then he got straight knees kind of deal, you get what I'm saying? And they can't use that as a way to kind of piece Cloud's memory back together now. So it's kind of interesting. He's going to go crazy. He's going to break, fall apart. And you don't have that to, use against that, So what else can you use? This is Cloud's show, right? Well, I mean, obviously, the point where he realized that, spoilers, he wasn't a soldier might be it, but there's got to be more than that. But yeah, that's kind of interesting, so I just wonder how they're going to do it. I'm sure there's other things, and I'm maybe even letting him know that, hey, Aerith died. Might be one of them. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. But it's still probably one of the biggest moments of Final Fantasy VII, and it's one that I don't think you need to worry about the shock or the impact. You just want to feel it. You want to feel the resolution kind of deal. So I would just take it all out, Give them the answers that you're looking for. And do it in a very compelling way. So, I mean, it's like I said, it's one of the biggest moments in Final Fantasy VII, so I think they need to do that one real well. Anyway, that's about it for some of the main questions about the ending and stuff like that. I'll do some miscellaneous thoughts here real quick, particularly when it pertains to what I feel like the next game is going to do. So, and I am apologizing if I'm a little boring when I talk. I'm just trying to think as I talk. It's not easy. But anyway, some miscellaneous thoughts about the third game coming up. Do I think Aerith will be playable? Yeah, I do, in some capacity. Not all of the game, and maybe not even with the party, per se. Maybe she's partying with Zack, I don't know. Good for her. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. It could just be a pre-loadout, like they did with Zack and Sephiroth and all that stuff. I don't know. So, it could be any of that. But I do believe at some point she'll exist and she'll be playable and you'll be able to use her. I do believe that. Will Zack be playable? Yeah, actually. I believe he'll be playable too. I think that probably much more playable than before. As in fact. No doubt. I think that where they're going with his playstyle is kind of cool. And it'd be kind of cool also to have it more fleshed out, add new abilities. I think that there needs to be some sort of counter stance while he's doing his little stance to build up his meter or whatever would be kind of cool in his own way. like to see it more fleshed out. So yeah, I do believe that. I do believe it'll have an instant impact. You know, it like a major role in the game, and I think you'll be using him more than you did in this game by a long shot. Some other ones. For the hell of it, will Sis Navy playable? I don't know. I really don't. Apparently, she actually has a fairly sizable following, which is kind of interesting to me. I mean, okay. I liked her character. I think they did a good job with her in the whole Gungaga experience, and, you know, she's never really been, you know, unbearable. Like, you know, even in Crisis Core, she's like one of the few people in the game where it's like, alright. So there really isn't anything to hate about her. But at the same time, I think she'll be playable. I mean, if they want to do it, okay. I will think it'd be very hard. She uses the same weapon as Yuffie does. How are you going to make her unique? You know. That's a question. And furthermore, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that would work at all. I do think, you know, they have that Ever Crisis game. If they wanted to give Zack a partner for certain chapters and stuff, then look no further. Could even try to flesh her out a little using that. I mean, you can maybe figure out some limit breaks or something, at the very least. That's a thought. But, I don't know. And I know that they've said that they're kind of just sticking to the main party. I mean, Zack being the misnomer, but that's for reasons. But if they wanted to do it, I mean, they obviously listen to fan feedback quite a bit, and it does kind of determine the path of where they want to go. So if they want to do it, they can do it, and they should do it. Why not? But do I think it's something that's going to happen? Not yet. Not yet. But like I said, if they have her as a playable character in Ever Crisis, then maybe I could possibly change my mind a little bit. And either way, I'm not against anything. I'm not against anything. You just gotta, you know, when you write the story, you just gotta write it well, you know? Gotta give me a good reason. That's it. I don't ask for much. Anyway, aside from that, how open world will the next game be? Well, obviously the Highwind's going to be a big factor, but I still also believe that it's not going to be entirely open world. Number one, I think the only way that they're going to be able to, you know, land on the planet or any of the areas is through the airstrips anyway. I think that's why they have it set up already, because they're going to eventually, you know, have the Highwind, and that's where you're going to land the Highwind. So you're basically still going to be running around all these places, just, you know, you know, flying there will be a breeze mostly. So that would be one thing. And I mean, like I said, I think at least have 5 out of the 6 regions have an airstrip of some sort. I think Grassland is the only one I can't think of that has anything, but they could possibly use the old broken down road on the way to come as a landing strip, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah. But at the same time, like, you still have the submarine, you still have underwater, I think some places will be very difficult to travel to regardless because of the lack of airstrips or something of that nature. So you have to require other means to get there. And I don't think Midgard is going to be very easy to get to either. The only way you can really get to there is through parachute. I do hope in the third game, though, you can really, really explore Midgard. Whatever's left of it. I'm sure it's already gone to shit, but hey. I'd like to see some more of the top plate. That's just me. Yeah, and then probably some other places that I haven't really thought of yet, but that's my opinion. I don't think it's going to be entirely open world, but it will definitely be a lot more open than this game, than Rebirth. Yeah, I think that's going to be a given. I mean, you can decide to start your trip, you know, in Nibelheim, and then go to the Grasslands, and then go to Cosmo Canyon, and then go to Rocket Town or whatever. It doesn't matter. It'd be interesting. I'd like to see it happen. But, yeah. Cool. As for, when we'll reach Rubutai, I actually have this belief that, this is my scenario that I built in my head, that they're after the Magnus Materia, right? I guess I call it Magnus Materia. I don't know the exact, you know, whether it can be like manufactured. It sounds like it can be manufactured just as much as it can be taken from a weapon itself. But either way, I think that, you know, they attack and they take one of the Magnus Materias that Shinra wants. And that's the same type of material that they were going to use on the rocket to blow up Meteor. So I think that'd be a good way of having to go to Wutai. Go and take it back. So yeah, I'm hoping for that. That sounds like a good way of doing it. It's like it was on its way to Rocket Town and then all of a sudden it got ambushed and they took it back to their land. That's kind of how I feel. Again, very specific. Probability of that is very low, but that's my opinion. Other things, is Glenn Cloud's dad? I don't know. I mean, okay, I guess there's some, there are some characteristics that kind of, you know, kind of point that it might be the case, but I don't know. I mean, and like I said with everything else, I guess if they do it well, it's fine. It's just not something that I didn't even think about it during the game. I really didn't. Even when he was on the screen, I didn't really think about it too much. But I guess there is some evidence in some of the books that, you know, apparently Glenn is very debt-ridden, and Cloud is very, you know, Cloud's father was very debt-ridden, and that's kind of why he left or whatever, I guess. But I don't know. We'll see. I just hope it's not like a, you know, a Darth Vader moment at this point. I really don't. I mean, I get that Star Wars is probably a major influence in this game and stuff of that nature. I mean, what series hasn't influenced? But let's not get to that point, man. Let's not make it so on the nose. So I'm, like I said, I'm really in the belief that, hey, just don't do that. If you can do it well, then fine. But let's not do that, please. And then the last thing I have, this has been going on for 40 minutes, I'll finish it up. Do I think the multiverse thing will persist after the end of part 3? Actually, I do. I know when I said earlier that, that the multiverse is just the planet trying to come up with solutions in order to save itself. Trying out different scenarios and everything like that. I do believe it's actually going to persist, and reason isn't really necessarily game or story related. I think it's more director related. I think the third game is probably going to be, Katase's, Nomura's, and Nojima's last major game. I'm sure they'll probably have some, some credits here, there in the future, but like a major role, I think they're willing to hand it down to a new, younger crowd, Hamaguchi being one of them. So, with that, I kind of feel like they don't want them to be hampered by, restrictions or anything else like that. I think at the end of the day, they just want them to be creative, make up their own world. And plus, there are a lot of options that kind of are intriguing. Not just whether or not Zack lives or Aerith lives, but even small things too, like, what if Tifa became a soldier? What if Zangan didn't save her? That's one of the ones that I thought would be very fucking interesting, having a Tifa as a soldier. That would be kind of fun, But, I can't think of a whole lot of other ones on top of my head. Maybe Zack succumbs to Genova cells in him. Who knows? Maybe Cloud does successfully become a soldier. There's possibilities. And I think that they kind of want to give those possibilities a chance to operate. And, like I said, if they're going to pass it down to a newer generation, I don't think they want them to be hamstrung by, anything or anything that has to do with, canon or not. I think they want to just make their own world. So why not? So I do believe it's going to kind of persist after that. But how is it gonna go about doing that from the third game on? I don't know. So when they said that it was going to ultimately link up to Advent Children, first off, I like the way of words which they've had it translated, link up. So, but to me, the answer is yes and no. It's going to lead to Advent Children, and it's not going to lead to Advent Children. It just depends on the world you're living in. Anyway, this has actually been going on a lot longer than I thought. And I think it's... I hope I didn't bore anybody with my speculation or anything like that. Like I said, sometimes, like I said, when I'm in thought, sometimes I just can't help but pause a lot in my... when I talk, so it's like... Hopefully I got out the message as clear as I possibly can make it. But anyway, that's it for me. And yeah, I really enjoyed the game. I know it's hard to believe I haven't been on as much as I want to. It's pretty boring. It's pretty tiresome, I guess, doing everything else. And that had nothing to do with, like, how I feel about the game, and I actually do plan on playing it here tonight, actually. So, but other than that, I'm done. Thanks for everybody who watches. Until then, I'll see you later. Have a good one.